Hello, beardlings! It is I, Lore Master Thermech, aka Head for Ramcrown Reads. We're gonna keep on going here with our fantastic tale of Lord Master Thermech. We are on our way to Riften. Oh, excuse me. Oh Lord, I did all the swirly jigs. Now I'm a little lost. Was there a post? Yeah, I came there. I came from there. I was going up. Oh yeah, duh. And I marked it on my map. Because that's a Samaritan. Alright, so. Rehashing of what we're doing. We went to Falkreath. Started doing a little bit of work for the Jarl because working for that Jarl gets you the Hearthfire stuff, which gets you the... Oh, look into the signpost. Riften this way. Cool. Am I going to... which gets you the... Yeah, the Hearthfire, your first location. And, yeah, it's essentially going to be our first library. So we're just traveling along and, you know... Yeah, we're doing good. We're doing good. If you're new to this very special Let's Play, we are doing what we have lovingly called the Lore Master Run. Meaning that the concept was this idea that a very good friend of mine, who I love dearly, said you should do a series of Skyrim where you read the books. Because I would listen to you read the lore of Skyrim for days. And I'm like, huh. Interesting. And so I pitched it to some friends, and they were, or I say friends, well, yeah, they're more like family, really. The Beardlings, and they loved it. They came up with some rules that I must follow. If you're interested in what those rules are, go to the first episode. I'm not going to get into that here. Sun's in my eyes, can't see. Riften, yeah. Yeah, okay, so we're going... Yeah, Windhelm's the other way. Not going to Windhelm, going to Riften. Up. Get off me, skeever. And so, that's what Lore Master Thermech does. He travels around, he collects the lore of Skyrim. The skeever tail's not worth it. And that's what he does. Now, you can kind of see over there. We've done a few. We've done some books. We do the collection of lore and the reading of lore. And that's what we're going to do. So, yeah, we're heading to Riften to get this Blackbriar Mead to give to the Jarl of Falkreath to get our library. So, yeah. And wolves, of course. Oh, sir, what has happened to you?
You're looking a little rough around the edges. You feeling all right?
Are you okay?
Bandits attacked and ransacked my cart. Can you help me?
Well, what can I do?
My camp is nearby in the ruins of Nilheim. Get me there safely, and you'll be rewarded.
Okay, goodness, guess this is what we're doing. I don't trust you. I feel like this is a trap. But that's what you get for talking to strangers, I suppose.
We're close now. I can see the camp.
Alright. I will set you ablaze if you betray me.
I'll be right back with your reward. Now ain't this a surprise?
Yep. Betrayal. Telrov shall fall. I'm not backing down, I'm backing up. There's a difference. Let's get some healing going. Oh no! Uh-oh. Potion! Oh! He's gonna swing on me real hard when I come out of this. Items. Potion. Yep. Alright. Oh, you're trapped. Sucks to be you. And one more. Uno más. What? So I guess you're in the tower. And unfortunately you have aligned yourselves with thieves. Therefore your life is forfeit. Are you out here? Hello?
You can't hide from me.
I'm not hiding. I'm looking for you. Marco. Marco. Aha!
Sovereign God awaits.
Ow! There we go. Oops. Your camp was on fire there for a hot second. Oh, Thermec. Ooh. What's in here? Ooh, some nice boots. Merchant's boots, but I'm not picky. Alright, nothing over here. Oh, hello. Sell. Take. Ooh, Scroll of Oblivion Unbound. Invokes an unholy rage in a summoned or raised creature, granting 200% attack and movement speed. It heals 10 points per second. Lasts 60 seconds. Wow, the arcane language is just fraught with riddles. I have no idea what that means. Anyway, so okay, we could utilize that or sell it. I mean, it's magic, so according to the rules, I can use that. So let's go back down here and what in the world? Oh, I'm gonna say what? What is that mean? I don't know why I opened it. It clearly said empty. Alright, so that was the tower. Now to loot the bodies. And bodies looted. Alright. Let's keep going to Riften, and maybe no one will mess with Lore Master Thermec. Let that be a lesson to anyone who finds your corpses. Ooh, look, a signpost. Riften this way. Huzzah. Ah, greetings, farmer.
To join the Legion. The United Empire is better for everyone. I was born and raised in Skyrim, but the Nords treat us like dirt.
Okay. Probably won't be joining the Imperial Legion, because Lore Masters do not take sides in such things. Greetings, traveler.
Greetings, brother. You look weary. I have something to help you relax if you're interested.
What are you talking about?
The finest.
Oh my! Look out, there's a wolf! There.
Cleared out.
Be careful, they usually run in packs. If you don't mind, I'm going to Ooh, he had a wolf pelt and nothing else.
Greetings, brother. The finest skooma, the sweetest moon sugar, at a fair price, of course.
No thanks.
Each has their own way.
Goodbye. I do believe that man wanted to sell me illicit paraphernalia. More wolves. Always more wolves! Oh. Greetings.
Come along, no more stops. We need to find our way to Solitude, yes?
Why are we even going to a wedding at this far-flung
Don't bother
end
me,
of the
peasant.
empire anyway?
I've had a long journey and paid too much coin on these gifts to be late to Vittoria's wedding.
Enjoy the wedding.
Indeed, if we ever get there. I told you, it's the wedding of Vittoria.
Whatever. Nobles. Riften this way. Oh, look at that moons. Forgot we had multiple moons in Skyrim. Alright. Onward. Greetings.
Are you feeling sick?
No? Why does everyone keep asking me that? It's not the entrance to the city. The city is over there. That is Riften. Let us get there. Riften, finally. Ugh.
Hold and stand down. If you want to get into Riften, use the north gate. This one's closed.
Why? What's going on?
My orders are to tell the riffraff to use the north gate. That's it.
Could you make an exception in my case?
No. You can use the north gate, or you can head to the next city.
Take my advice. Don't listen to that talk of the face sculptor down in
There's
the Ragged
nothing
Flag.
else to discuss.
Face butcher is more
Use
like
the
it
north
from
gate
what I've
if you
heard.
want to enter Riften.
Talk to the face. How does one get around to the North Gate? This is ridiculous. We have made it to Riften.
You looking for something or what?
Yes, actually. Can you help me?
Is there something I can do for you? I
No,
don't know.
evidently not. The Bee and Bob. Perhaps we could buy some here.
If you've got the coin, you've come to the right place. Pull up a seat.
People of Riften, heed my words. The return of the dragons is not mere coincidence. This is one of the signs that Lady Mara is displeased with your constant inebriation. Put down your flagons filled with your vile liquids, and embrace the teachings of the Handmaiden of Kine.
No, Mama. We talked about this. Talon?
Kira, certainly we can come to some sort of an understanding. These people must be made aware of the chaos they've sown.
Enough, Marama. We've all heard of the dragons and their return. There's no need to use them as an excuse to harass our customers.
Very well, Talon. I'll remove myself from this den of iniquity.
We're not kicking you out. Just keep the sermons at the temple and let us all sin in peace.
New in town, eh? Here for the fishing, I guess.
Yeah, not really. Good.
What can I get you? Meat? Wine?
For work, what have you got for sale?
Let's sate that appetite.
Food. Blackbriar mead, thank goodness. And I have enough. No, we do not want all 9. I will take a bottle. Thank you.
Running a little light in the pockets, lad?
I'm sorry, what?
Your pockets. They're a little low on coin. I can tell.
How could you possibly know that?
It's all about sizing up your mark, lad. The way they walk, what they're wearing. It's a dead giveaway.
My wealth is none of your business, sir.
Oh, but that's where you're wrong, lad. Wealth is my business. Maybe you'd like a taste.
What do you have in mind?
I've got a bit of an errand to perform, but I need an extra pair of hands. And in my line of work, extra hands are well paid.
What do I have to do?
Simple. I'm going to cause a distraction. You're gonna steal Medesi's silver ring from a strongbox under a stamp. Once you have it, I want you to place it in Branche's pocket without him noticing.
Why plant the... break the law? Are you kidding?
Sorry. I usually have a nose for this kind of thing. Never mind then, lad. If you change your mind, come find me.
I'll bear that in mind.
Are you
Miss.
feeling sick?
Why does everyone keep asking me that? Anyway, we have our mead. Blasted
You
stuff.
can use the north gate to enter the city.
Yeah.
Your choice.
So let us return to Falkreath. And here we are, back in
No lollygag.
our soon-to-be hometown? I'm not sure. I do have some things to sell and move around, so I'm going to do that very quickly, and then we shall carry on with it. Alright, we have sold everything that we need to sell, and we need to head to the Jarl's house to give him his mead, so that he can perhaps please grant us a place to have our own. Jarl.
You look a bit peaked. You sure you shouldn't be home in bed?
I'm an old man! Leave me alone! Here's your Blackbriar mead!
Now that's what I like to see. Someone who gets things done. Here, a little something for you.
Do you have any more work?
You've proven reliable. There's a group of bandits in my hold that I may have had a few discreet dealings with. The cut they were giving me was good at first, but now it's time to clean things up. Go and take care of it.
It will be done.
Good. Execute every last bandit.
I am being treated as a common thug, and I do not agree with it, sir. Very well. Where is this bandit? Oh my. What have we discovered here?
What is the music of life?
Some kind of choir with chanting.
You are not worthy.
Try again.
What is the music of life?
Screaming?
You are not worthy.
Blast! Well, we shall make a note of this and come back. Very interesting. There's a spooky door. Alright, on with this job. Oh. You see what I see? A soon-to-be-dead necromancer. Where did you go, vile creature? Yes, that's right, you run! I have heard of the justice of Thormac. Ooh, a book! 2920, Volume 10, Frostfall. Ooh, I shall look forward to reading it most vigorously. Taking that. Yep. Alright, so let's purge this place. Cleansing fire. And let that be a lesson to you, filthy necromancers.
I'll see you burn.
Chase me down, will you? I see your ice with fire! And the divines have granted me a level. Okay, first of all, give me your stuff. Take, ooh, Pale Shadow. Sell it. Next we need to level up. Alright, I can drop the voice for a minute. I don't know why I'm doing the voice so much. I'm just having a good time, I guess. Alright, so we did health oh, our health came up big time. Something happened there. But anyway, we did health last time. Magicka is still pretty high, so we're going to do our stamina so that we can carry more stuff. And we got perks to increase. Destruction dual casting. Even more powerful version. I do like that. Oh, that's... I don't have enough for that. I do have enough for this, though. So, yeah, we're just gonna drop that on there. And there you go. And we must continue. Ah, filthy bandits. Deplorable. The more I see their work, the less I am inclined to care. Alright, in the shade of this rocky overhang before we go take care of things, we're going to take a rest and have a read. So let's have a look at our books here. We got 2920 Volume 10 Frostfall, but of course, I do not wish to read a series out of order. We are the same reason for Brief History of the Empire Volume 2. Frontier Conquest, however. We have read Frontier Conquest. We read Liminal Bridges. This is a potion recipe, so I'll give you a freebie on this one. Look, resist fire potion, bone meal, fire salts. The end. Great. Ruins of Kemelze. Let's look that up, shall we? Have we read? I don't think we have. No, we have not. And according to my records, this is a detailed account of an expedition into Dwarven ruins. Ooh, very interesting, especially for this show. Alright, so we will read The Ruins of Kemelze. The Ruins of Kemelze by Rollard Nordson. With the acclamations of the Fellows of the Imperial Society still ringing in my ears, I decided to return to Morrowind immediately. It was not without some regret that I bade farewell to the flesh pots of the Imperial City. It's a funny word, flesh pots. But I knew that the wonders I had brought back from Relid Mackay had only scratched the surface of the Dwemer ruins in Morrowind. Even more spectacular treasures were out there, I felt, just waiting to be found, and I was eager to be off. I also had before me the salutary example of poor Bannerman, who was still dining out at his single expedition to Blackmarsh 20 years ago. That would never be, I vowed. With my letter from the Empress in hand, this time I would have the full cooperation of the Imperial authorities. No more need to worry about attacks from superstitious locals. But where should I look next? The ruins of Kemelze were the obvious choice. Unlike Raled Mackay, getting to the ruins would not be a problem. Also known as the Cliff City, Kemelze lies on the mainland side of the Vardenfell Rift, sprawling down the sheer coastal cliff. Travelers from the east coast of Vardenfell often visit the site by boat, and if it can also be reached overland from the nearby villages without undue hardship. Once my expedition had assembled in Seda Neen, with the usual tedious complications involved in operating in this half-civilized land, we set out for the village of Marog, near the ruins, where we hoped to hire a party of diggers. My interpreter, Tuin Denai, an unusually jolly fellow for a dark elf who I had hired in Seyden Neen at the recommendation of the local garrison commander, assured me that the local villagers would be very familiar with Kemelze, having looted the site for generations. Incidentally, Ten Denny, as we soon come to call him, to his constant amusement, proved invaluable, and I would recommend him without hesitation to any of my colleagues who were planning similar expeditions to the wilds of Morrowind. At Marg, we ran into our first trouble. The hetman of the village, a reserved, elegant old fellow, seemed willing to cooperate, but the local priest, a representative of the absurd religion they have here, worshipping what they call the Tribunal, who they claim actually live in palaces in Morrowind, was fervently against us excavating the ruins. He looked likely to sway the villagers to his side with his talk of religious taboos, but I waved the Empress's letter under his nose and mentioned something about my friend the garrison commander at Seda Neen, and he quieted right down. No doubt this was just a standard negotiating tactic arranged among the villagers to increase their pay. In any event, once the priest had stalked off muttering to himself, no doubt calling down curses upon the heads of the foreign devils, we soon had a line of villagers eager to sign on to our expedition. While my assistant was working out the mundane details of contracts, supplies, etc., Master Aram and I rode on to the ruins. By land, they could only be reached using narrow paths that wind down the face of the cliff from above, where any misstep threatens to send one tumbling into the sea foaming about the jagged rocks below. The city's original entrance to the surface must have been in the part of the city to the northeast, the part that fell into the sea long ago when the eruption of red mountains created this mind-bogglingly vast crater. After successfully navigating the treacherous path, we found ourselves in a large chamber, open to the sky on one side, disappearing into the darkness on the other. As we stepped forward, our boots crunched on piles of broken metal, as common in dwarven ruins as potsherds in other ancient sites. This was obviously where the looters brought their finds from deeper levels, stripping off the valuable outer casing of the dwarven mechanisms and leaving their innards here, easier than lugging the intact mechanisms back up to the top of the cliff. I laughed to myself, thinking of the many warriors unwittingly walking around Tamriel with pieces of dwarven mechanisms on their backs. For that, of course, is what most dwarven armor really is, just the armored shells of ancient mechanical men. I sobered when I thought of how exceedingly valuable an intact mechanism would be. This place was obviously full of dwarven devices, judging from the litter covering the floor of this vast chamber, or had been, I reminded myself. Looters had been working over this site for centuries. Just the casing alone would be worth a small fortune sold as armor. Most dwarven armor is made of mismatched pieces from various devices, hence its reputation for being bulky and unwieldy. But a match set from an intact mechanism is worth more than its weight in gold, for the pieces all fit together smoothly and the wearer hardly notices, the bulk. Of course, I had no intention of destroying my finds for armor, no matter how valuable. I would bring it back to the Society for Scientific Study. I imagined the astonished cries of my colleagues as I unveiled it at my next lecture, and smiled again. I picked up a discarded gear from the piles at my feet. It still gleamed brightly as if new made, the dwarven alloys resisting the corrosion of time. I wondered what secrets remained hidden in the maze of chambers that lay before me, defying the efforts of looters, waiting to gleam again in the light they had not seen in long eons. Waiting for me. It remained only to find them. With an impatient gesture to Master Aram to follow, I strode forward into the gloom. Master Aram, Tenpenny, and I spent several days exploring the ruins while my assistant set up camp at the top of the cliff and hauled supplies and equipment from the village. I was looking for a promising area to begin excavation. A blocked passage or corridor untouched by looters that might lead to a completely untouched area of the ruins. We found 2 such areas early on, but soon discovered that the many winding passages bypassed the blockage and gave access to the rooms behind. Nevertheless, even these outer areas, for the most part stripped clean of artifacts by generations of looters, were full of interest to the professional archaeologist. Behind a massive bronze door burst from its hinges by some ancient turmoil of the earth, we discovered a large chamber filled with exquisite wall carvings, which impressed even the jaded Tenpenny, who claimed to have explored every dwarven ruin in Morrowind. They seemed to depict an ancient ritual of some kind, with a long line of classically bearded dwarven elders processing down the side walls, all seemingly bowing to the giant form of a god carved into the front wall of the chamber, which was caught in the act of stepping forth from the crater of a mountain in a cloud of smoke or steam. According to Master Aram, there are no known depictions of dwarven religious rituals, so this was an exciting find indeed. I set a team to work prying the carved panels from the wall, but they were unable to even crack the surface. On closer examination, the chamber appeared to be faced with a metallic substance with the texture and feel of stone, impervious to any of our tools. I considered having Master Aram try his blasting magic on the walls, but decided that the risk of destroying the carvings was too great. Much as I would have preferred to bring them back to the Imperial City, I had to settle for taking rubbings of the carvings. If my colleagues in the society showed enough interest, I was sure a specialist could be found, perhaps a master alchemist, who could find a way to safely remove the panels. I found another curious room at the top of a long winding stair, barely passable due to the fall of rubble from the roof. At the top of the stair was a domed chamber with a large ruined mechanism at its center. Painted constellations were still visible in some places on the surface of the dome. Master Aram and I agreed that this must have been some kind of observatory, and the mechanism was therefore the remains of a dwarven telescope. To remove it from ruins down the narrow stairway would require its complete disassembly, which fact no doubt had preserved it from the attention of looters. So I decided to leave it in place for the time being. The existence of this observatory suggested, however, that this room had once been above the surface. Closer examination of the structure revealed that this was indeed a building, not an excavated chamber. The only other doorway from the room here completely blocked, and careful measurements from the top of the cliff to the entry room and then to the observatory revealed that we were still more than 250 feet below the present ground level. A sobering reminder of the forgotten fury of Red Mountain. This discovery led us to focus our attention downward. Since we now knew approximately where the ancient surface lay, we could rule out many of the higher blocked passages. One wide passage, impressively flanked with carven pillars, particularly drew my interest. It ended in a massive rock fall, but we could see where looters had begun and then abandoned a tunnel through this debris. With my team of diggers and Master Aram's magery to assist, I believe we could succeed where our predecessors had failed. I therefore set my team of dark elves to work on clearing the passage, relieved finally to beginning the real exploration of Kemelze. Soon I hoped my boots would be stirring up dust that had lain undisturbed since the dawn of time. With this exciting prospect before me, I may have driven my diggers a bit too hard. Tenpenny reported that they were beginning to grumble about the long days and that some were talking of quitting. Knowing from experience that nothing puts hearts back into these dark elves like a taste of the lash, I had the ringleaders whipped and the rest confined to the ruins until they had finished clearing the passageway. Thanks Stendar for my foresight in requisitioning a few legionnaires from the Seda Neen. They were sullen at first, but with the promise of an extra day's wages when they broke through, they soon set to work with a will. While these measures may sound harsh to my readers back in the comforts of civilization, let me assure you that there is no other way to get these people to stick to a task. The blockage was much worse than I had first thought, and in the end it took almost 2 weeks to clear the passage. The diggers were excited as I was when their picks finally broke through the far end into emptiness, and we shared a round of the local liquor together, a foul concoction in truth, to show that all was forgiven. I could hardly restrain my eagerness as they enlarged the hole to allow entry into the chamber beyond. Would the passage lead to entire new levels of the ancient city, filled with artifacts left by the vanished dwarves? Or would it be only a dead end, some side passage leading nowhere? My excitement grew as I slid through the hole and crouched for a moment in the darkness beyond. From the echoing sounds of the stones rattling beneath my feet, I was in a large room, perhaps very large. I stood up carefully and unhooded my lantern. As the light flooded the chamber, I looked around in astonishment. Here were wonders beyond even my wildest dreams. As the light from my lamp filled the chamber beyond the rock wall, I looked around in astonishment. Everywhere was the warm glitter of dwarven alloys. I had found an untouched section of the ancient city. My heart pounded with excitement. I looked around me. The room was vast, and the roof soaring up into darkness beyond the reach of my lamp, the far end lost in shadows with only a tantalizing glimmer hinting at treasures not yet revealed. Along each wall stood rows of mechanical men, intact except for one oddity. Their heads had been ritually removed and placed on the floor at their feet. This could mean only one thing. I had discovered the tomb of a great dwarven noble, maybe even a king. Burials of this type had been discovered before, most famously by Ransom's expedition to Hammerfell, but no completely intact tomb had ever been found, until now. But if this was truly a royal burial, where was the tomb? I stepped forward gingerly, the rows of the headless bodies standing silently as they had for eons, their disembodied eyes seeming to watch me as I passed. I had heard wild tales of the curse of the dwarves, but had always laughed it off as superstition. But now, breathing the same air as the mysterious builders of this city, which had lain undisturbed since the cataclysm that spelled their doom, I felt a twinge of fear. There was some power here, I felt, something malevolent that represented my presence, or resented my presence. I stopped for a moment and listened. All was silent. Except, it seemed I heard a faint hiss, regular as breathing. I fought down a sudden surge of panic. I was unarmed, not thinking of danger in my haste to explore past the blocked passage. Sweat dripped down my face as I scanned the gloom for any movement. The room was warm, I suddenly noticed, much warmer than the rest of the labyrinth thus far. My excitement returned. Could I have found a section of the city still connected to the functioning steam grid? Pipes ran along the walls as in all sections of the city. I walked over and placed my hand on one. It was hot, almost too hot to touch. Now I saw that in places where the ancient piping had corroded, small jets of steam were escaping the sound I had heard. I laughed at my own credulity. I now advanced quickly to the far end of the room, giving a cheerful salute to the ranks of mechanical soldiers who had appeared so menacingly only moments before. I smiled with triumph as the light swept back the darkness of centuries to reveal the giant effigy of a dwarven king standing on a raised dais, his metal hand clutching his rod of office. This was the prize indeed. I circled the dais slowly, admiring the craftsmanship of the ancient dwarves. The Golden King stood 20 feet tall under a freestanding domed cupola, his long, unswept beard jutting forward proudly as his glittering metal eyes seemed to follow me. But my superstitious mood had passed, and I gazed benevolently on the old dwarven king. My king, as I had already begun to think of him. I stepped onto the dais to get a better look at the sculpted armor. Suddenly, the eyes of the figure opened, and it raised a mailed fist to strike. I leapt to one side as the golden arm came crashing down, striking sparks from the steps where I had stood a moment before. With a hiss of steam and the whir of gears, the giant figure stepped ponderously out from under its canopy and strode towards me with frightening speed, its eyes tracking me as I scrambled backwards. I dodged behind a pillar as the fist whistled down again. I had dropped my lantern in the confusion, and now I crept into the darkness outside the pool of light, hoping to slip between the headless mechanisms and thus escape back to the safety of the passageway. Where had the monster gone? You would think that a 20-foot golden king would be hard to miss, but he was nowhere to be seen. The guttering lamp only illuminated a small part of the room. He could be hiding anywhere in the gloom. I crawled faster. Without warning, the dim ranks of dwarven soldiers in front of me went flying as the monstrous guardian loomed before me. He had cut off my escape. As I dodged backwards, blow after blow whistled down as the implacable machine followed me relentlessly, driving me into the far corner of the room. At last there was nowhere left for me to go. My back was to the wall. I glared up at my foe, determined to die on my feet. The huge fist lifted for one final blow. The room blazed with sudden light. Bolts of purple energy crackled across the metal carapace of the dwarven monster, and it halted, half turning to meet his new threat. Master Aram had come. I was about to raise a cheer when the giant figure turned back to me, unharmed by the lightning bolt hurled by Master Aram, determined to destroy his first intruder. I shouted out, "Steam! Steam!" as the giant raised his fist to crush me into the floor. There was a hiss and a gust of bitter cold, and I looked up. The monster was now covered with a shell of ice, frozen in the very moment of dispatching me. Master Aram had understood. I leaned against the wall with relief. The ice cracked above me. The giant golden king stood before me, the shell of ice falling away, his head swiveling towards me in triumph. Was there no stopping this dwarven monstrosity? But then the light faded from his eyes and his arms dropped to his side. The magical frost had worked, cooling its steam, driven energy. As Master Aram and the diggers crowded around me, congratulating me on my narrow escape, my thoughts drifted. I imagined my return to the Imperial City, and I knew that this would be my greatest triumph yet. How could I possibly top this find? Perhaps it was time to move on. Recovering the fabled Eye of Argonia. Now that would be a coup. I smiled to myself, reveling in the glory of the moment, but already planning my next adventure. Wow, what a story. The Ruins of Kemelze. Well, I'm going to get this marked off real fast, and we're going to just wrap it up right there, guys. Wow. Good episode. I really enjoyed all that, and I hope you did too. So if you're brand new to the channel and you are stumbling across this Let's Play, welcome to Two Beards Play. We do a lot of Let's Plays and live tabletop games. Check out Table Scraps, all the different things. If you want to be a part of our family, come on in. We have plenty of space for you here. And, you know, if you really love what we do, please consider checking out our Patreon and supporting us there. The money goes into the channel, and it helps us produce bigger and better things. So please consider going to the Patreon, checking out our rewards, and thinking about giving to us that way. That way we can improve even more and more. And as always, make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, and all those cool things, because that's how you keep up to date with the adventures of Lore Master Thermac and all the other fun characters and creatures we've created on this channel. But I'm going to wrap it up, guys. It's your buddy Hadhide. This is Lore Master Thermac. And this is Ramcrown Reads. And until next time, guys, God bless you and have a great day /night / whenever you're watching this.